Norva Abiona was excited about expanding her family, but instead of a positive pregnancy test, she got devastating news that there was a large cancerous tumor in one of her ovaries. She joins us via Skype to talk about her story. Welcome, Norva. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for joining us via the magic of technology, all the way from a different part of the world. But I want to get straight into your story. Your husband is a medical doctor. His specialism is in dealing with children. You and him are expecting and trusting God for children, and but then you get the news of this cancer in your ovaries. What happened next for the two of you?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that we were absolutely shocked because we were trying for children, as you said, and we did about 5 pregnancy tests. And you know, when you do pregnancy tests, they're coming back negative. Because you're a Christian and you're standing in faith, you're like, it doesn't matter what it says. Maybe something good is happening on the inside. Only to realize that after a while, this thing is growing a bit too quickly for my liking. And so after going to the GP a few times and being told nothing is wrong with you, we had to persist. And one day when I went to work, actually I was in what I considered my dream job at the time, just 1 month into it. And as I was on my way to work, I just felt as though something was trying to kind of fall out of my passage, so to speak, because the mass was getting so big and heavy. And my husband insisted that I go to the doctors and have it checked out. And within 24 hours, we were told, well, what you have is a mass that is 15 centimeters and it has to come out.
Now, let me jump in there because you then go through chemo, which generally they say it will take 2 years after chemo to have babies. And if I remember correctly, you go into menopause while having chemo. All through this, your husband, he'd had an experience with God, which you were holding on to. Tell us a bit about that and what impact it made on you.
Yes, well, one day while we were going through the chemo, because we had to have an operation first, and then we went into the chemo cycle of things to make sure that everything is totally out and doesn't affect me again. My husband felt led by God to go away and pray. So he did that, and he took with him a T-shirt that we had bought in faith that says, "My baby is cool." And while he was there praying, he felt as if in a vision he could see the T-shirt, the baby T-shirt filling up with a child. And he heard the Lord say strongly to him, "You shall have a child." And he came back with such confidence. This is in the midst of me going through the whole chemo cycle. So, you know, when you're going through chemo, you're sick, your body is weak. Sometimes I can't carry around my own body. But because of the word that he got, it gave me the strength and it encouraged me as well to want to push through and to know that out of this, good will come. And so when he came home, he hung the T-shirt up in our bedroom, and that is where it stayed until that glorious time when God did fulfill his promise.
Now, how quickly after the chemo did you become pregnant? Because within that, there's another story of a miracle, really.
Yes, because as you said before, I was told that I may never have children again, and if anything like that could happen, it would take at least 2 years because I'd gone into menopause. And it was when I went back for my checkup. This was like 4 months after I'd finished my chemo cycle. That's when, well, they thought that the cancer was coming back. So they told me, you have to go for an MRI scan. But thank God, on the way to the scan, the doctor stopped me and said, you know what, go and have an ultrasound first. And so I did that. And to God be the glory, they found a baby growing within me. I was so elated but shocked as well. I was like, God,
so
even though I know
Norva,
that you could do it,
Sister
I wasn't expecting
Norva,
it that quickly.
Sister Norva, why were you shocked? You and Mr. Abiona were consoling each other, were you not?
Well, I think that was a shock. I was thinking, did we console each other that much? I couldn't remember it being. I couldn't even remember that. But I think that was God showing off because when God wants to make sure that he gets the glory, he does it in grand style. And that's the way that whole pregnancy took place. Yes, of course, we did something, but I cannot remember.
So let me ask you, I mean, you breeze through the story, and we're talking about months and months of pain, of worry, of real struggle. What were
Yeah.
some of the keys for you to getting through the adversity? Because there'll be someone watching or listening to this who's going through what you've been through, maybe not with pregnancy, but something else that seems so insurmountable. They've got the medical evidence that says it's not going to happen. They've got their emotions telling them, they've got their physical facts telling them this is all going downhill. And they're hearing your story, and it'd be like, you know, it's okay for her. What for you was some of the key things that tipped you over from despair into a place of faith where you said, I'm going to believe God until he does it?
Well, you know, what the Bible says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them all. And just a quick backstory. I grew up in church, and I'm just saying that so that people understand, even though you grow up, you didn't, you feel as though you've been walking on the right path all the time. These things come, but trials come to make us strong. So in the midst of me going through all that was difficult, because I developed a relationship with God, I knew how to pray and to speak to him and to allow him to speak to me. So even when my body was failing me, my spirit man continued to be strong in the Lord. I could hear God saying, be strong and in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand. And those are the things that help encourage me. One of the other things that encouraged me as well was during that walk, I met someone in the hospital, a lady who was not a Christian, and I was able to bring her to Christ.
Wow.
And I said, God, if all that I've gone through is just for this one soul to be saved, I am willing to walk this path again. And I think God sees our heart, because no matter what we're going through, when we put God first and we remember that he is the God
Yes.
of the impossible, he will do what he said he will do. He gave us the promise and he came through.
Thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us. I'm encouraged myself. Thank you for joining us on Turning Point International.
Thank you.